Welcome back to the Sweetwater Podcast. I'm excited to announce that I am partnering with the Kind Community, creating version 2.0 of the Sweetwater Podcast. Our conversations will continue to focus on small and simple acts of kindness and recognize them as extraordinary. As always, I'm your host, Jenny West, and today's episode will be a bit different as I have two truly extraordinary women here today. Rainbow Maldonado, founding director and board member of Kind Community, and Laura Rizzo, current president and on the board of directors of Kind Community. Well, welcome, Rainbow. Welcome, Laura. I'm so excited to kick off version 2.0 of the podcast with you.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited. I have to say, this is the first time I recorded in a very professional setting. This is not my kitchen table. There are cameras. I've never had to wear appropriate clothes before.
Some wires.
But I'm really, really excited. So I thought what we would do today for our existing community and our new community is just talk about how this partnership came together, how Kind Community was started. But first, I need you to both introduce yourselves. So Rainbow, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Thank you for having us. I'm super excited for this partnership as well. So my name is Rainbow Maldonado. I am one of the founding directors of Kind Community, which we started back in 2015. Some items going on in our community. We'll get into that a little bit more. I have three amazing kiddos. My baby is a senior in high school, getting ready to graduate. So that's exciting. I have a wonderful husband. We've been married over 18 years.
Congratulations.
And lots of fur babies and turtles and all of that keep us busy. As the founding director, this is kind of my baby, so I keep very busy with it. I work in the nonprofit sector, both professionally and volunteering in different avenues. I'm currently a student at Idaho State University, the best university that possible. So looking forward to graduating this spring in advocacy and political science.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Laura, let's learn about you.
I'm Laura Rizzo. I am a wife to a wonderful, supportive husband. We've also been married about 18 years. I have three wonderful stepkids and a young grandbaby.
Congratulations.
I work in the nonprofit world. I moved to Pocatello about 6 years ago and started working in nonprofit and haven't looked back. I'm currently the VP of Finance for Girl Scouts of Silver Sage. And for Kind Community, I am the president of the board of directors and so grateful to Rainbow for trusting me with her baby. And I think that's it.
Well, we're going to get to know both Rainbow and Laura even better because they are going to be the first two guests on the podcast. So we'll get to dive into more of their personalities, what they love to do, and how they contribute kindness to the community all around them. So Rainbow, I thought it would be really interesting if you could tell us, how did Kind Community start? What is the origin story?
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's lots to this story. So when my kids were younger, as we are kind of working, going through the school days and whatnot, my kids are 5 years apart. So high school, middle school, elementary school. There just were some issues that came up within the school that we, as parents, that we kind of try to work through and deal with. And I don't use the word bullying because I don't necessarily agree with that tense because it's hard to say a bully is a second grader. And those were kind of the issues that we were kind of working through and going through with the school age. But on a personal note, we had in that year of 2014, 2015, we had four unfortunate suicides that had taken place. And these were kiddos under the age of 17. And what kind of started this kickoff for me personally was we had my husband's a railroader, rough and tough railroader. And to see him at 10 o'clock at night go down on a knee because he got a phone call. And he was trying to get his one of his men that worked with them from California back to Pocatello because his 14-year-old daughter had just committed suicide. And to see that made me angry. I became very angry. And I was like, I have a voice. I have a voice that can be used. I have a voice, and what can I do? I know I'm just a mom, just a mom. I don't like that phrase, but what can I do as Rainbow Maldonado to try and make a difference? And I have amazing friendship with the other founding director, Courtney Fisher, and she had been doing some research of some issues that she was going with her school-aged daughters, and it was a campaign called Finding Kind. And we thought, well, let's bring that here to Pocatello. Let's look into that. She had me review it. And so as soon as we saw that documentary, we thought, we can do this in Pocatello. So through that, we reached out to the school district, and the school district loved that idea. Reached out to the city of Pocatello, the city of Chubbuck, Bannock County, and then we reached out to the business sector, and we realized that this was going to be, we needed more than just bringing in this documentary. And so once we had that realization that this could be more, within 6 weeks, we kind of planned with all our amazing community members a big kickoff to kind of say, let's celebrate all the goodness that is happening. Let's take some really hard issues and leave those to the experts, because we have so many dynamic and profound experts in our community, and let's celebrate them. Let's highlight, let's take some really hard stuff and put a positive spin on, and embrace what all the good that we have. And also to let our youth know specifically that there is someone here for them, whether it's a parent or a fellow student or a counselor or the professionals or a teacher or an advisor. There is someone here for them to reach out to. And as an entire community, we come together and we are here for you. And we want you to feel that. We want you to know that. And so we identified the third week in September with the school district. The school district kind of identified that, because what that does is it kicks off the year on a positive note. It kind of, the third week in September gives the advisors and the teachers a little bit of edging, as they
Yeah,
start,
get into routine.
get the routine. And also then we can kind of start that year off on a positive impact and implement different things throughout the year. So that's a short version of it, but I mean, I could continue, but
No, I think it's such a beautiful story, and what I appreciate out of that is that you're honest in saying that the tragedy made you angry, but instead of staying in that point of anger, you used it
yeah,
to really propel positive change
right,
within the community, and I think
right.
that's hard to do, and I just think you're amazing, for doing this, so thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Laura, how did you get involved with Kind Community?
So, I saw when I was driving here today the banner across the road, and it brought me back to what actually attracted me to Kind Community. When we moved here about 6 years ago, that first fall, I saw that sign go across the road, and every day I drove past that sign and thought, "Kind community, what is that? I don't know what that is. I want to learn more." And shortly after the sign went up, the big kickoff event took place, and my husband's company was passing out candy to kids and at the event, and he called me up and he said, "You need to come down here." Who knew there were this many people in Pocatello? It's so exciting. So I went to the event and thought, I need to find out more. So I started learning about what Kind does. And then I was lucky enough to meet Rainbow and learn even more about it. And just knowing I taught for a few years back in the Chicago area, fourth and sixth grade, and I know that kids really struggle. And so, to me personally, I just thought, what a great way to support not only those kids, but the wider community. And that whole concept just speaks to me, I guess, is the best way to say that. Um, and so, that's how I ended up being part of Kind Community.
I love your story about seeing the banner. We were talking before we started recording, and I had something similar. We moved to Pocatello, gosh, I think almost a year ago next week. And when we spent a few days here trying to find a rental house, one of the first things I noticed coming into the community was that banner, because I think it was the week after Kind Week. And then in everyone's yards and all the business communities, there were these signs about be human kind. And my husband looked at me and he was like, it's kind of eerie. It was like you were meant to be here with your podcast. It's like you're finding your people. And I'm happy to say I really have.
Yes.
So I love the banners, and it's so interesting, like just how seeing a sign,
Yes.
can make you want to be part of a community and find out more. So I agree
Absolutely.
with you. And I think the origin story of Kind Community, is just so synergistic. It's not a word, but we're going to pretend that it is.
I like it. I like how it sounds.
Yeah. It just complements the Sweetwater podcast so well. And for my existing listeners that are wondering, like, why was there such a long hiatus? Why did you stop? Just really quickly to give a backstory there. Roughly 18 months ago, my dad became very ill, and he was in the hospital. He ended up passing away. You know, we could do a whole podcast on just the immense amount of kindness that we experienced from my sisters who were there with me, some sweet moments that we had with my dad, my stepmom, the nurses. I mean, it was pretty incredible. But just kind of the weight of that passing, which I have to admit was heavier than I expected it to be, and then kind of the not to be crass, but the business of death afterwards, of all the things that we had to do, um, really made me take a pause on things that I needed to get through that time. And then my husband took this super exciting opportunity at ISU. He's now the dean of students. And so you throw like a halfway cross the country move into all of that. And I just literally didn't have the bandwidth to continue on with the podcast in that capacity, but it's so near and dear to my heart, and really wanted to figure out a way, like, how do I reinvigorate it in this community when I haven't had the opportunity to meet very many people? Um, and then lo and behold, I was introduced to this wonderful woman, Cherise, who you all get to meet later.
Yes.
And she was telling about the Kind Community. I was telling her about the podcast. She introduced me to Rainbow and Laura, and now here we are.
And we're so thankful too. It's an honor to be here and have this conversation with you. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for your support.
And sharing your podcast yourself, your authenticity with us.
Well, thank you, because it's a little nerve-wracking for me. But I love it so much. And I was thinking as you were describing the origin story of Kind Community, it's so similar to what I was experiencing during the pandemic when I came up with this idea. And for me, it wasn't centered so much around children, but around women in the community, friends, family, neighbors. And I think, before COVID, I was always hearing from people that they thought they were failing, and from women who I just saw as extremely successful and kind. And, it was a little bit mind boggling to me how they could think that, even though I was pretty much feeling the same way myself. And then COVID hit, and I feel that that message really got amplified, especially amongst women. And I was hearing it more and more. And when people would tell that to me, I would be thinking to myself, wow, I've just experienced like so many uplifting things from you that never in my wildest imagination would I ever attach the word failure to anything that you're doing. And so I was trying to figure out a way, like, how can I create, almost like a mirror back to them to show them or to articulate all of the incredible things that they had done that had impacted my life.
Right.
And I have to say, like, sometimes I get a little bit hesitant or nervous to thank someone for a simple or small act of kindness.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, because it's ridiculous when you say it out loud. But maybe it's because you're being vulnerable or authentic, or maybe they'll think you're weird. I don't know, but I never had. And as I thought about it, like, you really never get to hear all these amazing things about yourself generally until your funeral, and that's too late.
That's too late.
Absolutely.
Way too late.
Yeah, and so it just came to me like, what a great way to share these things if I could start a podcast, talk to people, and then share it back. And I think the three things that really stuck with me during that time was I had a neighbor we shared a back fence with, and she wasn't my best friend. We didn't know each other super well, but during COVID, I was on a walk, and Michelle, if you're listening, I'm talking about you.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
And it was just one of those really crappy, heavy days, and she could see it on my face. And I think it was a period where you were still trying to pretty much distance yourself physically away from people. And she just looked at me and she said, "Can I give you a hug?"
Wow.
And like that, it still brings me to tears. Like that was so simple. And she walked over and she hugged me. And that changed the tenor of my day. Like I felt seen, I
Mhm.
felt loved. I went on a walk. I felt better when I got home. And that to me was amazing. I had another friend where I was during COVID switching jobs and switching gears. And I was really nervous about it and thinking maybe I didn't make a great decision. And I had another friend that just said, "I am so proud of you for being brave."
Absolutely.
And I think that we take for granted it could be a kind word, it can be a hug, it can be telling someone thank you, listening. There are just so many easy examples of
Small
kindness,
things.
very small things that I think really touch people in different ways. And I think that we need to hear that and we need to celebrate it.
Well, and I think you touched on the point that kindness is very simplistic in nature, and keeping that simple part of it is super important because kindness sometimes is hard to explain. It can be different for everyone. It can be opening a door, it can be kind to yourself, it could, having that Mountain Dew if you feel like you need to have that little, pick me up. But I think that that's just it. It's not so much tangible. A lot of it can be, but it's not so much tangible. But so explaining that simple act of kindness is very important, and keeping it simple I think is very important in our lives because life is busy and it's hard and can be complicated. So if we can just sometimes just bring that down to the simplicity of what that is and take that for the value and the gift that kindness is and kind. So saying a kind word, giving a hug during a time, where we stop touching the world, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? We stopped doing that. And so just being able to recognize and a smile and saying hello, how are you, complimenting on your beautiful jacket, whatever that looks like can go, and it causes that ripple effect. And so just giving a compliment, you never know. And that's the beauty of it is we don't need to know
No.
how that affects someone else, but it affects them in that positive way and it causes that ripple effect. And we don't know where they were, before. And so
Yeah.
giving that compliment and then being able to pass that along to the next, that's that ripple effect. And I think that's where we complicate everything, and just bringing it back down to that simplicity is important.
And I also think that sometimes we're afraid to give somebody a compliment. You see someone with a
Mhm.
cute jacket, or their hair looks nice, or they did something kind, and it feels awkward sometimes to say, "You look pretty today,"
Right.
or "Thank you so much for," whatever it is, something so small. Sometimes you have to almost force yourself to say it because it feels awkward. But the more you do it, I think the more comfortable you get with doing it, and then the ripple effects just
Absolutely.
that follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And I can say, from our year in Pocatello, the kind community has made, I think, a difference in our community here. I think this is by far and away one of the kindest places we have ever lived. I mean, we were really nervous about moving here. How are our
Right.
kids going to be at school? Are they going to like it? Will they make friends? Will we make friends? Will people like us?
Right,
You
right.
know?
Scary, it's
Yeah, it
scary.
is. And it was just kind of like I said, it feels like we were meant to be here because we've all made friends really easily, and I think because of the immense kindness that we have experienced here, it makes you wanna give back, and,
Yeah,
that's why I'm so excited to be doing this because I'm so excited to be giving
I agree.
back to a community that has so fully embraced us.
And I can speak to that too. I mean, we moved here from the Chicago area, and we always tell people that moving to Pocatello has been good for us.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean that where we were before was bad, but we've just really embraced the community and the kindness and the people here that just make it a better place to live.
Well, and I appreciate that because I think Pocatello is a wonderful place. And I think that the more that we invest in ourselves and invest in our kids and invest in this community, it just affects everyone positively. So investing each moment that we have and the opportunities and taking those opportunities and giving that back with no expectation is that investment part. And so we're glad you guys are here too. I've been here forever. So,
Yeah, I mean, we were surprised, like, going to the DMV is actually a pleasant experience here.
Right. Where you go there thinking
Yeah.
it's not gonna be.
Yeah, or I had some questions for the city, and I was just like almost speechless with how kind, and they called me back, and
It helped
it
you.
was not hard. Yeah, and so I think that that sense of community kindness, even being here in the studio and,
Mhm.
just is just so immensely kind, and I'm very grateful.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Absolutely.
So, Kind Week is coming up.
It's my favorite time of year.
Yeah, so why don't
It's
you
like
guys tell us
Christmas.
what is Kind Week and what should we expect?
Would you like to start, Laura?
So Kind Week is the week where we really do celebrate kindness in the community.
Mhm.
Um, we will be kicking off the week with our kind celebration kickoff celebration, um, at Lookout Point from 5 to 8.
Mhm.
um, where we will have exhibitors, so community organizations and businesses just sharing what they do in the community that's kind. We will have a stage with some entertainment, mostly kiddos
Mhm.
doing the entertaining, and just a big community celebration. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, so I mean, we will have, so like Laura said, it'll be at Lookout Point. We're at the park in downtown Pocatello, downtown historic Pocatello, from 5 to 8. And it's just our way to give back to the community and highlight all those amazing nonprofits and organizations and businesses that are out there doing this every single day and being able to highlight them. And again, letting those kids know because it is kid central. And so we have, as Laura had mentioned, a stage of entertainment of different dancers and singing and performances. And so I just need to, hope that welcome the community out to enjoy that evening with us. And it kicks off Kind Week for the rest of the week.
Which we have a lot of great things planned this year. One of the things that we're really excited about is we will have a speaker back in the schools, which gets
Mhm.
back to the roots of Kind Community, which is really supporting the schools. So the speaker will be at the middle schools and high schools. And then on Wednesday night, we will have a community presentation by that speaker. It's a TED Talk speaker, Tanner Clark.
Mhm.
If you haven't seen him, he's amazing. And I'm really excited to have that be added this year.
And the entire community is welcome. It's from 6 to 7 out at Century, at the auditorium there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great week. I'm really looking forward to being here
Um,
this year.
Yeah.
what else? Thursday
So
night.
Thursday is a big evening. So we have, we always do a community conversation. And so this year, I'm so excited for the lineup, but it's basically behind the screen and letting parents know the dangers of online and kind of giving them some tools and navigations with our local experts here. It's a panel discussion. The entire, the community again is welcome, and that runs from 6 to 7:30 at the school district. Um, everyone's invited to attend that. It will be live streamed as well.
And then a couple other things happening that week. On Tuesday, we have Tee It Up for Kindness, which the first 100 buckets of balls or mini golf at the Outback from
6 to 8,
6 to 8
correct?
um, are free. So it's kindness is free. Speaking of kindness is free, also on Saturday, it will be free admission to the zoo
Mhm.
at Zoo Idaho. So kindness is free at the zoo as well. And that morning, Saturday morning, will also kick off with yoga in the park with Healthy City USA.
Right. And this to me is examples of those community partnerships that are just willing to say, hey, what can we do this week? We would love to be a part of this and have that partnership. And so their generosity, giving back to the community, is just a reflection of the community that we live in and those local businesses. And so this partnership with them is attributed to their generosity and saying, hey, we want to make a difference. So like the Outback and First Tia Pocatello saying, hey, what can we do that? And so
And we couldn't make this happen without those community partners.
absolutely.
Super
So we're
grateful.
thankful. Yeah.
Well, last question. Describe to our listeners, what do you hope the purpose of this podcast is within the community?
I think what I'm so excited about is the generosity that you've shown. I think that our messaging and getting it out to the public is very important, and we have an opportunity to use this as that resource. And that it's fluid, it's genuine, it's talking to real people, and finding out their stories, and again that ripple effect, and how one person can make a difference and they don't even realize it.
It's
They
innate.
don't it, and so I think having this partnership and working with Lisa and her team, I think that the sky is the limit, and this gives us one more avenue to share what a great community we live in, and the within our community, because that's what it's all about. So I
And I
agree.
think your stories, I mean, the way you're able to tell people's stories and to show some of that ripple effect are just going to make a profound difference in our community.
Well, thank you. I am just so honored to be working with both of you, Kind Community. And I know we talk a lot about the ripple effect, and it's so funny because when I was putting together the logo for Sweetwater, it has that ripple effect very intentionally. And as I think through, some of the tragedy part of the Kind Community, and I come back to a book that I read like years and years ago, so I'm definitely going to paraphrase this poorly, and I'm probably going to slaughter the author's name, and it is not intentional. But it was the book The Prophet by Kahil Gibran. And he just has some really beautiful poetry. And one of the things that he talks about is that everybody goes through hard times. And trust me, he says it far more beautifully and eloquently than this because it's poetry. But that it creates this well inside of us of things that we've experienced. And as I think about that and I think about the ripple effect, that well has to be filled with something. And it should be kindness. And he describes it as deep as your well goes, you can have that much more joy because that's what it's filled with. And so I think about that, just the intentionality of being called Sweetwater, of
Yeah,
every simple act of kindness is a drop of water in that well,
I love that.
and it ripples out. And at some point in time, that well overflows with kindness and joy. And I hope that that is something that we can really do within the community of just recognizing that everyone is going to have a period of difficulty in life, no matter if it's losing your dad, losing a child, having a bad day at work. It doesn't matter the gravity or the intensity. Everybody needs a raindrop of kindness. And as Laura, you said so eloquently, kindness is free. And
Yeah.
I think that that's something I have freely received from our community, and I am so excited to freely receive or to give it back.
Well, and I can echo off that too. I often hear Rainbow say, everybody's going through something. You don't know what they're going through. So just showing that empathy and kindness just makes such a huge difference, not only to yourself, but to them. So just showing a small bit of kindness just makes a profound difference.
and being gentle to ourselves and being gentle to others. I think fast-paced world that we live in, that sometimes we have to just pause for a minute and be gentle to ourselves and able to give that to others.
I agree. Well, thank you, ladies.
It's so exciting.
I know,
Thank
I
you.
love this.
I know. We survived the video. This was really fun, and I am just so excited for our future episodes. I am excited to have one-on-one time with each of you coming up to be able to share just the amazing ways you've impacted your family, your chosen family, your friends, your community, and just to share that out. And I think we're really excited if you know someone in the community that you would like to nominate or ask us to interview, we would love to. I would love to talk to as many people as possible just to share, as Rainbow and Laura have already stated, all of the innate and simple acts of kindness that are given and received throughout this community. So nominate yourself, nominate your friends. It's really fun. You get to be in here with us, or at least with me. Thank you, Rainbow and Laura. I am very excited for this next chapter. I think I speak for all of us when I say we hope this podcast will help our community recognize the extraordinary impacts of your small and simple acts of kindness. Your individual threads of kindness uplift, strengthen, and uniquely contribute to our beautiful community tapestry. Please take the time to visit us on Instagram at Sweetwater Podcast and at Kind Community and share your thoughts on today's episode. Thanks so much, and remember, be humankind.